Good morning, everybody. Yeah, this was not an announced episode of the Hidden Agenda. Um, the reason I'm doing this here is to try to get some understanding for people. There's, I keep getting calls, messages, texts, whatever. People coming by, wanting to know what's going on with the election. Everybody's wanting to know where things are at. I guess, you know, figuring out exactly how the election's going, which is near impossible to do. The only thing you really have in understanding how these elections are going through is just pretty much word of mouth. And if you're a candidate and you talk to somebody and they say they're going to vote for you, then you can go back in there and when you see their vote, you can count it as a vote for you. That doesn't mean that they voted for you, but that's kind of how that thing works. But there seems to be a lot of confusion right now, and the biggest thing that I'm having people ask me about is why is Blake Mitchell not on the ballot? Okay, so let's explain this here, and I think this is a failure somewhere that we're not getting information out to the people. So we'll try to make this as simple as possible. This year, 2026, three elections. We have three elections. We have the one that we're doing right now, the May 5th. The May 5th election, and this normally happens in spring, is what they consider a primary. This is not your, and I'm going to keep this just for the county. I'm going to share up the election cycle for this for 2026 in the comments afterwards, and you can actually look at each one of the dates, and it'll tell you. Tuesday, May 5th is a state and county primary election. The primary election, okay, for the state and county. Primary elections may be held for state judicial offices and applicable county offices, subject to the call by political parties. So, understanding that there is this election we're doing right now is there are no Democrat. There's no Democratic primary Democrat primary in Henderson County because we just don't have any Democrats running for office. So they're not going to have a primary election. If there was, then there would be a ballot. Actually, if you go back into 2022, it was the beginning part of April. I can't remember the date exactly, but in the election in progress, if you open up that 2022, they will show you a ballot that has the Democrat primary on it and the Republican primary. And you can see that there's no candidates in the Democrat primary. I'll share that as well, so you guys have that in the comments, so you kind of understand. But here's how this whole thing works. Right now, right this moment, we are in and I'm just going to go ahead and say it, this is a Republican primary, is what we're dealing with right now, because we don't have a Democrat primary. So what this is where the Republicans in the county, and this is that whole bona fide status crap. The Republicans in this county choose the candidate that they want to go to run to be their candidate in the general election. If y'all ever, I'm sure you remember, so I'm going to use some parables to the federal elections. If you go back in here with the last presidential election, Trump, we kept seeing the debate, and it had all these Republican candidates up there. Trump was up there, Ramaswamy was up there, I think Nikki Haley was up there. All these different Republicans in this debate. Okay, well, why are Republicans debating each other? Well, that's for the Republicans to decide which candidate they want to represent them in the election for president, in the general election. So they have these debates, and then they determine through caucus. But we're gonna let's just say they vote and say this is who we want. We want Trump to be our presidential candidate. So he's the one that the Republican parties pick. That's the same thing that's happening right now. This is a primary. So we are picking who we want to be our mayor, who we want to be our sheriff, who we want to be each commissioner, every position that's open, every race. This is the Republicans picking which candidate they want to move forward into the general election, which will happen on August the 6th. Now, this is where things kind of get funky. Bottom line is, this is a Republican primary. Republicans choose the candidate they want to move forward. Since there are no Democrats running, there's no Democrat primary. And the independents don't have a primary. So what happens is, whoever is an independent candidate or Democrat candidate will be in the general election in August. And they will face the winner from this primary. So the Republicans, I'm going to hypothetically speak here, which means I'm going to make something up. Let's sit here and say Tuesday night, Shelley Alexander wins the mayor's race. Well, Shelley Alexander is not the mayor. She is just a Republican nominee. Nothing more. She doesn't win the race because, and it's only the mayor's race that is contended. Right now, what will happen is Shelley is the Republican nominee for mayor if she wins Tuesday night. She still has to wait and go in August 6th when there'll be the general election for our county. And what happens here is Shelley will go up against Blake. So I think July 17th we'll start the early voting process all over again for a couple of weeks. And then we'll have the general election on August the 6th. And the only ones who will be on that ballot, as far as county positions, will be Shelley as the Republican nominee and Blake as the independent candidate. That's it. That's how this whole thing works. It's not hard. It's not difficult. But we just haven't been putting for some reason, there's just not been a lot of attention or education to help people understand how this here works. So I'm going to say this here. Tuesday night, whoever wins the sheriff's race is going to be the sheriff. Now, they still have to go to the general election, and they still have to win the general election. Well, guess what? They will have no candidate against them. Nobody competing. So, again, I'm just going to throw a name out there. If Brad Atkinson happens to win the sheriff's race on Tuesday night, then come August 6th, as soon as Brad walks into the polls and votes for himself, he automatically won. He's going to be the sheriff. Now, if Brad don't vote for himself and nobody else votes for Brad, I don't really know what happens there. So, but we know that that's not going to happen. Let's just be realistic here. So, bottom line is that's what goes on here. This is how this works. We're going to know pretty much every position. The only question that I had is there was an independent candidate running for a constable position, but I went back on the Election Commission's Facebook page since they no longer have a website, and look, and it looked like that candidate never qualified. So the only Tuesday night, every position will be chosen except for the mayor. The only thing that happens Tuesday night is that mayor candidate that's going to be the Republican nominee, and that's it. Um, I know this it gets confusing, and there should be a better way of doing these things here. You know, a lot of people talk about open primaries and closed primaries and getting all and people registering for. It's, the government has made it very hard for people to understand it for just some basic common sense understanding here. And I mean, and you got to think about this here. I mean, this is a party primary right now. So the party is wanting to have, I mean, you think about it. We are going to elect, I'm going to say this loosely, we are going to elect a Republican candidate for every single position in the county except for mayor on Tuesday. That's it. Because there's nobody else running as a Democrat, and the only independent candidate running is Blake running in the whatchamacallit. And again, the reason Blake ran as an independent as opposed to a Republican is he wasn't sure that if he met, because there's so much confusion on this stuff here about what makes a Republican, a bona fide Republican. Can you run? And we've already seen them pick and choose who they're going after as far as trying to take and get rid of certain candidates and certain voters. So, I think he was wise in saying, hey, you know what, I'm not going to get involved in this here. I'm just going to run as an independent. Here's where the problem lies. And now that we kind of understand how this whole thing works with the election, if you are a Blake Mitchell supporter, then you will wait until August 6th. Blake will not be running against all of these people. He will only be running against whoever wins on Tuesday night. So it's going to be two mayor candidates. That will happen. Just two mayor candidates on the August 6th ballot, and you'll have early voting the same as you did. We just got finished early voting last night. There'll be early voting starting in July, and that's how it'll work. So just so you guys understand this here, we are in a Republican primary. This is not the general election. The general election is when you pick the final person that's going to end up representing you. This is not the general election. This is simply our primary, the Republican primaries. That's how this works, Personally, to me, I think we just need to get rid of primaries altogether and let the best person, whoever is running, win. Whether independent, Republican, Democrat, it don't matter. Let the best person win. Let the people choose. Because this is one of the issues that we have right now is, if you are not a bona fide Republican, which we don't have any definition to, other than what we were shared by the Republican Party to say, this is how you define a bona fide Republican. But when you look at the bylaws, it says that's for candidates. So, I mean, really, what is what is a bona fide Republican? There is no legal definition to it. But, going after somebody, it's crazy. So, and I'm not slamming the Republican Party, but yes, I am slamming the Republican Party. You need to do better for your voters, and you need to do better for your candidates. And I will say this here: the Republican Party, there's a split in it right now, and it's because of this here. The establishment Republicans are wanting this stuff here, and I'm going to call it the old school Republicans that are, as one of the Republicans that I respect a lot in this county told me, I'm a Reagan Republican, and I get that. I certainly get that, and that's, I can align with that deal. Bottom line is there's division because they're seeing what's happening here. This isn't helping the party any whatsoever. It's just a faction of the party trying to do these things here to strong arm and control elections. But when you really think about it, this primary is going to be determining who's going to be every position in this county is determined in this primary. And if Democrats and independents can't vote in here legally, and I'm saying that word truly because there are signs in there that says it's illegal to vote if you're not a part of that party. You don't have any say in every position except for one in your county. So again, to me, that's why the primaries need to be removed, done away with altogether, and just let the best person win. But again, I wanted to take this time to explain to you guys how this whole thing works as far as these parties. Like I said, I will go through in the comment section and I'll leave pictures with a little brief understanding of it so you can actually read and see. But right now, we are in the Republican primary. Tuesday night is the actual voting date. Now, this is where, remember here, Tuesday, when the polls open, you will not be voting in the election commission. You will be voting in your precinct. So if you're in, District 7, District 5, District 2, District 1, wherever your precinct is, that's where you'll vote in. That's where you have to vote. It's not like it is with early election where you can vote at the election committee. That's not where your voter information will be held. It will be held at your precinct. If you do not know what your precinct is, which precinct, if you don't have your voter card, it will tell you your precinct. But if you don't know, pick up the phone, call the election commission, and ask. They can tell you where you need to go vote. So, like I said, we wanted to get this information out there so you guys can understand here how this thing works. This is the first of 3 elections this year. And this is not a general election. This is a primary election. This is just to pick the candidates moving forward. If you guys have questions, please reach out to me. If this explanation isn't good enough, I will help you all I can. Comment in the things. We're here to help you learn so you understand how things work. Other than that, I'm going to get ready for work because I got to go make $1 or $2. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. And remember, Tuesday is election day for the primary. And like I said, you will be choosing the majority of the people that is going to be representing you. The only one you will not be choosing for sure will be the mayor, because that race will come up in August. And that's it. Y'all have a great day. We'll catch you on the flip side.